So I had the funniest dream last night. I was talking to a friend, a guitar player, and telling him about Headbangers Brew. And if you remember, there was an old commercial for, I think it was Palmolive dish soap. And the biggest thing they wanted you to know was that it was good for your hands. And so this lady that does nails had this woman soaking in something. And she goes, yeah, I used Palmolive. She goes, you're soaking in it. And she had her hands in there, and it was the big deal, you're soaking in it. So I was talking to this friend about Headbangers Brew. And he says, I have trouble playing fast, and I'm just trying to get my speed up. And I says, well, Headbangers Brew would really help. And then I said, and his hands were in something like that. And I said, you're soaking in it. So Headbangers Brew is good for soaking too, evidently. Anyway, got some great things to share with you today, coming up next on Pastor Bob's Coffee Break. Just want to see if that's going to work. And that is our Headbangers Brew. Good stuff. And as you can see, we have the posters, and they're available as well. And we have a whole new campaign starting that I'm excited to tell you about, and I'll do that later on this week. But you can get that, and a lot of our stuff. We're going to talk about this today. Good morning, Lord. What are you up to today? I want to be part of it. And it's one of our older posters. It's still good. These are free download. And we've got the mugs and the t-shirts and a lot of great swag here at wearemetalwearefamily.com. Here's the question for today. Dear Pastor Bob, thank you for doing this series, Finding Your Purpose. Absolutely. I am still troubled with this. I don't seem to be able to hear God, and I've gotten several people telling me this. Maybe he isn't saying anything, or maybe I'm just too preoccupied to listen. Well, it could be both, but probably the latter. I think God is always speaking to us, always has something to say. Sometimes trying harder to get our attention than others, though. And I think he's always trying to break through. And when you ask, he answers. When you have something you need to hear from him, he has something to say. Well, how do we get there? How do we connect? What do we do? And I want to start with this today. Good morning, Lord. What are you up to? Jesus did this. And let's go there, actually. Mark chapter 1, verse 35. And it says, early in the morning, and it's early in the morning right here. It's 5:30. And early in the morning, while it was still dark outside, and it is, Jesus got up, left the house, and went out to a secluded place, and there he prayed. So that most likely was one of his habits, getting away from everything and going to pray. And that is massively important, that you begin the process of connecting with God. Good morning, Lord. What are you up to today? I want to be part of it. It's huge, isn't it? I want to be part of it. I need to be part of it. Well, God is there to talk. And he's there to give you your marching orders for the day, but he's there also to connect with you emotionally and spiritually and mentally and in all those areas that really have to do with listening and then reacting. So it's really important that you do this, folks, and that you have a time where you simply get alone like Jesus did. And he did it while it was still dark. And mornings are my best times. Sometimes people say, well, nighttime is my best time. And it used to be for me, but quite honestly, mornings are much better now. I get a little too tired at night. But whatever it is that works for you, spend that time. And even if you have to get away to do it, sometimes you do. You may be involved in a very busy home, or your surroundings are very busy, but there's some place you can go where it's secluded. I remember one house that I lived in, I had a lot of kids living with me, and there was not a secluded place. And I found a place that actually was under the stairs, and I blocked it off, and it was just this little spot, and I called it the prayer closet. And we could all get in there and just pray. And there was nothing in there. I carpeted it, put some pillows in, and Bible and the things you need, and then just had a little light. And that was the prayer closet. And if that's all you have, then that's all you have. But some place where you can be secluded and listen. And I want to go also to Psalm chapter 23, starting with verse 2. And Psalm 23 is something we usually read at funerals. But it's such a great scripture for so many things. And here it is, Psalm 23, verse 2. He makes me lie down in fresh, tender, green pastures. He leads me beside the still and restful waters. Now, do you see figuratively what it's talking about here? In other words, as he begins to work with me, this is what it starts to feel like. He makes me lie down in fresh, tender, green pastures. He leads me beside the still and restful waters. You're getting the picture. And some of you are already starting to relax a little, because that's a great scenario, isn't it? And then it says in verse 3, he refreshes and restores my life, myself, all of me. He leads me in the paths of righteousness, uprightness, and right standing with him, not for my earning it, but for his name's sake. Well, these are great scriptures. Makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside the restful waters. He refreshes and restores my life, myself, all of me. Leads me in the paths of righteousness. So once I've calmed down, once I'm resting, once I'm peaceful, he begins to lead me in the paths of righteousness and right standing with him for his name's sake. When can you listen to God telling you what your purpose is? When you're able to listen, when you're able to. And sometimes you have to get to that place where the green pastures and the restful waters and that kind of refreshing takes place, and it does here first. He refreshes my life, my whole self, and then leads me in the paths of righteousness and right standing with him. And then I begin to see things that I would not have seen before. So is this quiet time, this time that Jesus spent, this time that many, many, many fathers in the faith spent before you and I, is this time important? Massively important. I'd recommend it highly. We're going to talk more about this, how to listen, and how to begin to see and feel and make a direction for your purpose all week long. Don't forget, you are blessed. So go and be a blessing.